Hello? Hello?
Podcast Network Asia.
Hey guys, welcome back to Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. My name is Alec Cuenca and I'm your host. And before anything else, I would like to thank you for joining today because this episode is quite personal for me. And this I was hesitant to talk about this because this really hits home. Like, I experienced most of the things that I'm going to share with you, and some of the things of it are, this is the first time that I'm going to actually talk about it. So today we are going to talk about 3 signs that you have a victim mentality, or you probably noticed this someone, and how to get out of it. Okay. So, backstory, when I was a child growing up, I grew up with my father. And right now, I could easily attribute most of my learnings from him. Not that he was the greatest dad ever, but he was one of the, he was a bad parent. Okay, I'm going to be quite frank. He was a bad parent growing up. But, fortunately, things have changed and he's now a better father and he's trying to make up for what he did before. But growing up, it was really, really toxic. I experienced a lot of physical abuse and verbal abuse and emotional abuse as well. And most of the things that I noticed most of the signs that I noticed from him is that he had a victim mentality before. Like, he felt like he was a victim of his circumstance. He was a victim of other people's actions. And he didn't do anything about it. He stayed being a victim for quite so long when I was still with him. But there was a point that I said, enough. And that's a very powerful word. If you didn't listen to my previous podcast episode, it's that the one word that can change your life is enough. So when I said enough, naglayas ako. I went to my auntie's sa mother's side, and I lived there all alone when I was 13 years old. 12. I think 12 or 13, and then I left my brothers with my father. And, looking back, I realized that he was a victim for most of his life, or he had a victim mentality for most of his life. But I realized one thing, I just felt like there was something more to life. And I'm so glad that I had that kind of mindset, that kind of curiosity, because apparently I was right. There was more to life than having a victim mindset. People who have victim mentality, they think that life is happening to them. They don't realize that life is what you create out of it. Like, you have a choice. You have the control on what life you will live today and in the future. You can control your life. You have a choice. And victim mentality, they always like to just say, okay, I can't do anything. I'm so sad and frustrated and stressed, but I can't do anything about it. And they try to do these signs that I will share with you right now, and they just feel that they're stuck, but apparently they can do something about it. So the first sign that I noticed from my father was he always liked to blame other people. Blame. Okay, if you blame, chances are you have a victim mentality. You blame your parents. Oh, they didn't give me what they were supposed to give me back then. Now my life is like this. You blame the government. Oh, the government sucks. That's why I'm unhappy with my life, because of the government. Don't get me wrong, the government sucks right now, but ultimately the happiness that you can feel, it's inwards. It's not because of the government, but people that have victim mentality, they blame the government. They also blame the economy, the pandemic. Let me tell you one thing. If the pandemic didn't happen, do you think that you would be in a very, very happy place right now? Of course, I'm not saying that the pandemic did not have any effect on us. It amplified, our sufferings. But ultimately, the happiness and the peace that we can feel, it's up to us. But a lot of people are blaming the pandemic. Nagka-pandemic kasi. The pandemic happened. That's why I'm unhappy with my life. Let me bet you 1,000 pesos or 10,000 pesos even, that even if the pandemic didn't happen, you would still be unhappy with your life. Not because, of the pandemic, but because you don't realize that you have a victim mentality. That's it. They also blame their partner. My partner cheated on me. That's why I'm unhappy with my life. Are you sure? You're hurting, of course, but is that the reason why you're really hurting? Don't you see that probably the reason why you're hurting is because you let yourself feel hurt? You may not be at fault why you're in pain right now, but you are still accountable for your own feelings. Period. I learned that, my father, he always liked to blame other people. He blamed my mother why we were suffering back then. Even though he was gambling all our money, the reason why we had no money back then is because he blamed my mother, that my mother abandoned us, that my mother was hurting him in some way. That's why we are suffering. But he didn't realize that he had a choice to change something about his life. So that's the first sign that, you have a victim mentality. You blame other people. And the funny thing is, if you blame other people, you give them the power to dictate what your life is going to be. And how you can get out of it is to stop blaming. Take back that power. Be accountable for your actions. Know that everything that is happening in your life is something that you have control over. Not everything, but the most important things in life, like your peace, your happiness. You have control over that. Your reactions, your actions, your emotions, and your feelings. You have control over that. So the way to stop blaming other people is to focus on the things that you can control. And you can always control those things. And I learned that most of the time, we can do something about our lives. I switched that mindset. Instead of blaming my father that he was abusive, that's why I should live a life that is miserable and I'm going to be unhappy with my life, I didn't blame him. I know that that was the reality that happened before, but I have a choice whether to replicate that scenario or that circumstance in my life. And I didn't want to do that again. I wanted to break the pattern, and so I did. The second sign that you have a victim mentality is you justify. You justify. My father, my mother left him, and he would always gamble all our money, but he would always say, no, it's okay. Nak, at least we have each other. Even though we don't have any money, even though we don't have money for food or anything, at least we have each other. And if your mother gets mad at me, then that's okay, because she hurt me first. She left us. He always tried to justify his bad actions. It was outright bad, but he didn't see that because he was trying to justify. He was trying to logic his way out of the wrong decisions that he made. But I realized that when I talked to him, he would always find the reason for when I kept asking him, why can't you just be better? He would always justify that, well, I can, but if your mother gets better first. He always tried to put the power of changing his life to other people. And because he was hurt, he felt like he was so special that he needed to do bad things, or he needed to wreck our lives or his life because he was hurt. Well, let me tell you something. If you are experiencing something, if you're hurt, let me tell you, everybody gets hurt. You're not special. In the moment you think that you're special, you're not going to do anything about your life because you think you deserve things. You don't deserve things. You only deserve the things that you work hard for. You're not special, but you are worth it. You are very, very important to this world, but you're not special. If you really want to change your life, then you need to do something about it. And you can't do something about it if you keep on justifying things. Why you're doing the things that you're doing. You always have a reason for something. A lot of people, they're still broke. Because they would always... I have a cousin that, he would say, I don't need money because money is not important. Money is not as important as love. Well, that's stupid. Of course, love is the most powerful force, but why would you compare love with money? Love is important, but so is money. Because love won't feed you. Love won't provide you the life that you want to have, that will make you fulfilled, that will make you secure and comfortable. A lot of people, my cousin, he always justifies me, and it's not important. Money is not important. And as long as you are always justifying things and justifying the reasons why you're unhappy with your life, you will continue to stay a victim. And the way that you could combat that, the way that you could fight that, is having a growth mindset, knowing that maybe you could do something better. Maybe you have a choice. Maybe whatever is happening in your life can be better. And it's not ultimately up to other people to do that. It's up to you. Okay? So do not justify things. Accept that you're not special. That the circumstances that you experience, that you are in, doesn't define you. Have a growth mindset. Know that you can be better and you can do better. And do that. Okay? So the third sign that you have a victim mentality is you complain. And this is probably like one of my most hated pet peeves in life. People who complain. Like they would say, I hate my life, I hate this job so much, I hate this relationship so much. And why don't you do something about it? If you complain about the smallest things in your life, you will be unhappy. A lot of people think that they complain because they are unhappy with their lives. No, you are unhappy with your life because you complain. And I am a firm believer of the law of attractions. What you focus on expands. So if you're focusing on the negative things, if you are focusing on what could go wrong, then that expands. You will see that the things that could go wrong will go wrong. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And if you keep on focusing on the negative things, the things that are not going well in your life, you are going to be unhappy for the rest of your life. Until you realize that you have so many things to be grateful for. You have so many opportunities in your hand. You have so many things to appreciate. That's the only moment that you can say, no, okay, I can actually live a life that is way better than the life that I have previously lived. So stop complaining, okay? Watch your words, okay? Watch your words. Watch how you speak to other people. Are you always complaining? And I have been a victim about this. I won't, wash my hands from this. I was before always complaining about my family, my friends, my studies, my professor, all of the things. I'm always complaining, blah, 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 blah. But the more I talk about it, the more I complain, the more it gets really, really stressful. But the moment that I focused and I shifted and I focused on my faith in myself and God, that whatever is happening will make sense in the future, eventually He showed me that you can live a life that is so much better than this. When I didn't focus on what I could lose and what I could gain in life, the blessings just kept on coming. And so one way to deal with that is to watch your words. Watch how you communicate to the universe. It's real. I can't explain you how it's real right now, maybe in another episode, but it's real. What you focus on expands. So be careful on what energy you give out. If you complain, you will attract people who also complain. If you become grateful in your life, if you are motivated to become better, you will attract people who wants to become better, who focuses on the positive things as well. So be careful. Watch your words, okay? So to summarize, one thing that you can do right now is to actually have a debrief. Get a piece of paper, write down every single day, get a piece of paper and write down what are the things that went wrong and what are the things that went right. And then ask yourself, what could I have done differently? What is one thing that if I did differently, it would probably become so much better. I would probably become a lot happier. Okay? This allows you to become accountable for your life. And the more you do this, the more you'll realize that you have control over your life. You will stop being a victim. God has so many plans for you. And the moment you stop acting like a victim, the moment that you realize what your purpose is. Stop blaming other people. Stop justifying situations. Stop complaining like a bitch and move on. Grow up. You're much stronger than you think. You're way braver than you think. But you gotta be accountable for your actions. Okay? So do a debrief and find an accountability partner. Every time you find yourself blaming, justifying, or complaining, let that accountability partner that you have slap you in the wrist like 5 times. Okay? So that you learn not blame, justify, and complain. These traits are really, really toxic. And it's gonna get worse from you from this point on if you continue to do that. So be aware of your actions and be better. Okay? So that's it for this episode. I hope you learned something from this episode. Sorry if this, is quite messy or something, but I just really wanted to share my thoughts on this. I didn't make a script out of this. I just wanted to share like my initial thoughts on the victim mentality, all those kinds, but I'll probably do a better one and a more researched one, so watch out for that. But thank you so much for listening again. I'm going to have Podcast Academy Batch 2 on May 15, 16. So if you're listening right now and it's not yet May 15 and 16, if you want me to mentor you on how you could create and grow and monetize your podcast, send me a message at Small Talk Podcast. And if you like this, if you dislike this, then share your insights, tag me at Small Talk Podcast, and I will love to answer all of your comments and insights and messages. So thank you again so much for listening, and my name is Alec Cuenca. And this is Small Talk, Small Conversations with Huge Impact. And I'll talk to you guys next episode. Bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.